When I walked into the courtroom, the judge was shocked. "Why are you here?" The courtroom went silent the moment I stepped through the door. Not the polite kind of silence. Not the respectful kind either. It was the kind of silence that falls, heavy, sudden, uncomfortable. Like the air itself had been pulled tight. The judge looked up from his papers, blinked once, then leaned forward as if his eyes were betraying him. "Mr. Hale," he said slowly. His voice echoed, just a little too loudly in the room. "Why are you here?" Every head turned toward me. The defendant froze mid-breath. The lawyers stopped whispering. Even the court reporter hesitated, fingers hovering above the keys. I didn't answer right away. Because the truth was, I had been waiting 23 years to hear that question. 23 years earlier. I was 17 when my life ended for the first time. That was the year my father died in prison for a crime he didn't commit. They said he embezzled company funds. They said he falsified records. They said he destroyed evidence. The words sounded official, final. The kind of accusations that don't need proof once the right people repeat them. What they didn't say, what no one wanted to hear, was that my father had refused to sign off on illegal transactions ordered by his own boss. A man named Richard Lawson. Lawson was respected, powerful, untouchable. My father was honest, quiet, disposable. The trial lasted 4 days. 4 days to dismantle a reputation built over 30 years. 4 days to reduce a good man to a convenient villain. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, my mother collapsed in the aisle. I remember gripping the wooden bench so hard my palms bled. I didn't feel it at the time. Shock does that. My father didn't cry. He didn't shout. Didn't plead. He just looked at me and nodded, as if to say, "Live, remember." He died 6 years later of untreated heart failure behind concrete walls and locked doors. Richard Lawson got promoted. The long road back. I didn't become a lawyer because I wanted prestige. I became one because anger needs somewhere to go, or it destroys you from the inside out. Law school at night. Jobs during the day. Student debt that followed me like a second shadow. There were years I slept 4 hours a night. Years I wanted to quit. Years I wondered if justice was just a story we tell ourselves to survive unfairness. But I kept going. I learned how systems really work. Who protects whom? Which rules bend, and which ones disappear entirely. And I learned one crucial thing. The truth doesn't disappear, it just waits. For years, I watched Richard Lawson from a distance. Board appointments, charity galas, awards engraved with words like integrity and leadership. Every headline felt like salt in an open wound. Then 2 years ago, I got a call. A former accountant, terminally ill, carrying guilt heavier than his diagnosis. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He mailed me a box. The box. Inside were copies of offshore accounts, falsified audits, internal emails with carefully neutral language hiding criminal intent, and one memo, signed by my father, a clear refusal to approve illegal transfers. Stamp received, stamped ignored, stamped buried. I sat on my kitchen floor for a long time holding that paper. Not crying, just breathing. Back to the courtroom. The judge was still staring at me. I straightened my jacket and spoke calmly, because calm is the loudest thing in a courtroom. "I'm here as a witness, Your Honor." A murmur rippled through the room. The defense attorney, Lawson's attorney, turned sharply. His face tightened the moment he recognized my name. The defendant finally looked back at me. Richard Lawson had aged poorly. The confidence I remembered from glossy magazines was gone. His eyes darted, not in fear but recognition. He knew exactly who I was. "Is there a problem?" the judge asked. "Yes," Lawson's lawyer said quickly. "This individual has no relevance to—" "I disagree," the judge said, raising a hand. "Mr. Hale, approach." Each step toward the stand felt unreal. 23 years ago, I sat in the back row as a boy who couldn't speak. Today, I stood at the center of the room as a man who finally could. The first question. "State your name for the record," the judge said. "Daniel Hale." The court reporter typed. "And your occupation?" "Senior compliance attorney, former forensic auditor." That got attention. Lawson shifted in his seat. "And why," the judge asked carefully, "are you here today?" I met Lawson's eyes. "Because my father died in prison for crimes this man committed." This silence was different. Deeper. Heavier. Permanent. "The objection." "Objection," the defense snapped. "This is inflammatory and—" "Overruled," the judge said sharply. "Proceed." I swallowed once. Then I opened my briefcase. "I have documents that were deliberately excluded from a trial 23 years ago," I said. "Documents proving the defendant orchestrated illegal financial transfers and framed a subordinate who refused to comply." I handed the clerk a folder. Then another. Then another. Emails. Account numbers. Time-stamped approvals. The judge flipped through the pages slowly. His expression changed. The cracks appear. "This memo," the judge said, holding one sheet up, "was never submitted into evidence during the Hale trial." "No, Your Honor," I said. "It was intercepted." "How do you know?" "Because the email chain shows it being forwarded, then deleted by Mr. Lawson." The judge looked directly at the defendant. "Is this true?" Lawson opened his mouth. Closed it. His attorney leaned in, whispering furiously. "Too late." The turning point. The prosecution requested a recess. When court resumed, the room felt colder, like everyone understood something irreversible had begun. "Mr. Lawson," the judge said, "new evidence suggests perjury, obstruction of justice, and financial crimes spanning over 2 decades. Lawson stood on shaking legs. I don't understand." "You understand perfectly," the judge replied. Then he turned to me. "Mr. Hale, why did you wait until now?" I didn't hesitate. Because power protected him, and because I needed proof strong enough that it couldn't be buried again. The judge nodded. "The confession." It wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No tears. Just exhaustion. After hours of questioning, Lawson slumped in his chair. "Yes," he said quietly, "I did it." A collective gasp filled the room. I didn't think anyone would ever come back for it. Something loosened in my chest. Not joy. Release. The final words. The judge removed his glasses. "Mr. Hale," he said softly, "your father should never have gone to prison." I nodded. "I know." The gavel came down. Court adjourned. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed. Questions flew. I walked past them all. Outside, the sun was setting, golden, steady, indifferent to human delay. For the first time in decades, the weight lifted. My father's name would be cleared. Not because time healed it, but because someone refused to forget. Epilogue. 3 months later, the conviction was officially overturned. A letter arrived from the court. Inside was a single line. "Justice delayed is still justice." I folded it carefully and placed it beside my father's photograph. Then I whispered the words I should have said long ago. We're done now. And for the first time since I was 17, I slept peacefully. Moral: truth may be buried by power, but it never dies. Patience, integrity, and perseverance can still bring justice, no matter how long it takes.